Laura is about a young girl at the end of World War II who's in her early teens, and her parents are Nazis. She's a German girl, and she's grown up in the Nazi system, believes in it, but in the weeks after the war, when her parents are both taken into Allied captivity, she has to make her way across Germany alone and is confronted with some of the crimes that her parents' generation have committed. And all her previous assumptions end up questioned.
Unser Führer ist tot, Lore.
Ist ins Gefängnis.
Du darfst nie vergessen, wer du bist.
I'm half German, and so this story is about my mother's generation. I suppose my mother was born into a family a bit like Laura's, not quite, they weren't high-ranking Nazis, my grandparents, but certainly the same assumptions were shared. And my mother was from Hamburg, and she and her family were evacuated after the bombing of Hamburg to Bavaria. In the summer of 1945, into the autumn, she had to make her way from Bavaria to Hamburg. And some of the events in the film are based on my mother's experiences.
Laura has a very curious and quite special evolution as a film project. The original story of Laura was written in Glasgow. The creative evolution of the project, if you like, started here in the late 90s, and that's where I first encountered the story. And from that point it was supported to varying degrees by the film agencies in Scotland. But a lot of them wanted to turn Laura into a love story, and wanted to make Laura, the main character, older, and I wasn't interested in that. I thought that wouldn't really be appropriate, wouldn't work. But I knew Paul already from Glasgow. I was living in Glasgow at the time, and I knew Paul. He was a good friend, and I knew that he would do something good with it. But because he was an untried and untested producer, it took a long time to raise the money. But it's a work of patience, developing an art house film, and especially a subject that's not necessarily going to be popular with funders, or not immediately, obviously, money generating. So. Yeah, but I'm very glad we stuck with it, and I think Cate was absolutely the right director to choose. She dealt with it with great sensitivity.
Mutter, Vater? Who are you?
Thomas, ich bin Ihr Bruder. Wir sind von Auschwitz nach Buchenwald gebracht worden, bis wir befreit wurden.
Rachel and I went to see many films around the time when Laura was being written in Glasgow, and the first thought came into my mind that it would make a great film. We were visiting the GFT and going to see great work of that sort of time, like the Dogma films and everything else. So we're definitely bringing it home.